So on the matter of consent, obviously the clear rebuttal to that would be that abortion involves not 2 people, but 3 people, one of whom is the unborn baby. Now, I imagine you would have issues with that description, so we can get to that in a moment. The first thing you said, though, is that I'm entitled to my opinion, but I'm only entitled to my opinion as it pertains to my own body, and I'm not entitled to an opinion about what you do with your own body. But do you really believe that? Do you really believe that people can only have opinions about things that pertain to their physical selves?
This right here is going to really shock some of you, so hopefully you enjoy it.
So you are staunchly in favor of abortion. I am your captive audience. If you had to give me the elevator pitch, what would it be?
Absolutely. So what I would really like to start this conversation off with and make very clear from the start for both you and your viewers is I am not saying that you are wrong for being uncomfortable with abortion. I'm not saying that you are wrong for not agreeing with it. But your opinion applies to your body and your life alone. We are not sitting here having a discussion about our personal disagreements. I am here to educate you and your viewers on the guidelines of proper medical practice that have been established by our country's leading medical experts, and they have stated publicly and unequivocally that abortion access is essential to comprehensive, evidence-based health care. And we both want to protect life, and what remains true is protecting innocent life never involves restricting access to health care.
Now, something that's important for you to understand when it comes to how she looks at things, she does refer to medical experts when she comes with her points, but medical experts who only support the woman and not the fetus. So they support the ideas of the feelings and emotions of the woman only, but not the potential human being that's inside of the woman. Like, until the woman acknowledges that it's a potential human being, they won't even accept it. And she is in full support of that. That's what separates her from Michael Knowles. Because Michael Knowles is like, nah, it's not going to be that way. I'm going to let y'all listen to them. I'm not going to keep on butting in. I just want y'all to know that this is an extremely good conversation.
So 2 questions I have from that. You mentioned that all of the genius medical people agree in our country that we need to have abortion. Now, surely all of the genius medical people have agreed on all sorts of practices throughout history, even in the not so distant past, that are quite terrible for people. One good example would be lobotomies. There was a scientific consensus in the country that when women are behaving a little eccentric, we should go in and scramble up their brains. And they used these kinds of procedures throughout the 20th century. Now we look at that as ghastly and a violation of basic rights. Mm-hmm. But this was a medical consensus. So surely you're not telling me that just because a bunch of fancy people in lab coats think something about a matter of bioethics, that therefore it's the gospel truth.
Well, a big part of the prior, travesties of medicine is there was not consent from patients, and there wasn't proper informed consent from patients. Where when it comes to abortion, you continuously say that I am pro-abortion, when really I am pro-abortion access. And abortion access and the discussion of having an abortion should be between the patient and the medical provider, and that is it. And the entire concept and the entire point is that the pregnant person gets to consent to continue with their pregnancy and must consent to the use of their body, because they are the one that understands their body and their life and their finances and everything that makes up the complexities of human life. They are the only ones who are able to decide and understand what is best for them with the guidance of proper modern medical practices. And it is true that our world and our country's leading medical minds have, like I said, unequivocally stated that abortion access is essential to comprehensive, evidence-based health care. And your opinion can remain your opinion, but it does not get to override the opinion of people who train their entire lives to provide health care to people.
Well, now, something that she just now said is going to actually be proven that the people that the guidelines she decided to follow for the position that she's taking is actually over. Well, what is it? There are people above them that they get their references from, they get their guidances from, the experts she gets her guidance from. is the people above them are the people who are against what she's talking about. So she is trying to find whatever way possible to support her side, is what you're going to see in this conversation. It might make you upset, but I want you to try and listen objectively, because it's important that you might be a genius already while watching this and very well versed on the topic. I'm not saying you're not. But it's good to hear people out, because you might hear something that might even confirm what you know already is more true than it was before even listening to somebody. Okay? But then again, she might even change your mind. Don't be fearful of that either.
So on the matter of consent, obviously the clear rebuttal to that would be that abortion involves not 2 people, but 3 people, one of whom is the unborn baby. Now, I imagine you would have issues with that description, so we can get to that in a moment. The first thing you said, though, is that I'm entitled to my opinion, but I'm only entitled to my opinion as it pertains to my own body, and I'm not entitled to an opinion about what you do with your own body. But do you really believe that? Do you really believe that people can only have opinions about things that pertain to their physical selves? I can't have an opinion about I don't know, a sunset, or I don't know how automobiles are made, or I don't know, drug use or anything like that. I can't have an opinion about politics, how our government should be run, or how our political community ought to behave.
He always has amazing examples when it comes to certain things she says.
I can only have opinions about myself?
No, I think you misunderstand me. You can have your opinion about anything and anyone that you'd like, but that opinion cannot restrict someone's access to health care. You can disagree with someone's choice to get an abortion, but just because you disagree with it doesn't mean that your opinion should override the opinion of their medical experts.
Can my opinion be put into effect to restrict someone's access to drugs like heroin?
Well, in what way?
Well, we have self-government in the United States, at least nominally. And so if I think that heroin is really bad, and I think we ought to have laws against its use, then I can lobby my elected representatives and they can pass a law, as they have, against heroin. And then you are not allowed to use heroin, even though that affects only your own body. I have now expressed my opinion about heroin in such a way that restricts what you can do with your own body. Are you saying that that is not acceptable?
So actually, with laws regarding drugs, it is illegal to buy and sell drugs, but it's not actually illegal to do drugs, because you can't tell me.
Depends on the jurisdiction.
True, but you cannot tell me what I can or cannot do with my body. Again, you can totally and rightfully so disagree with someone's choice to do drugs, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't, as healthcare providers, ensure that say, drug user is able to make informed choices about their body. Are you familiar with clean needle programs?
I am, yeah.
Correct. And so clean needle programs, they reduce disease transmission. And so even though someone is going to choose to do drugs, it is the responsibility of medical experts and healthcare providers to ensure that we cannot change someone's choices and behavioral patterns, but we can ensure that we provide them resources and able to ensure that their decisions and the impact of their decisions is minimized in whatever way that we can.
Bronte, putting aside for a moment the efficacy of clean needle programs, which I think is dubious, but that might be a discussion for another day, I think you're evading the question a little bit here, because you're suggesting that drug use is not criminal in all cases, which is not the case. There are places where drug use is where the use of the drugs itself is criminal. But even so, let's take that, let's accept your premise. Nevertheless, purchasing the drugs would be illegal. Now, this is something you do with your own body, with your own money. This is, it's the very same issue, just removed one step. So is it all right for me to express my opinion about illicit drug use, to restrict you from doing something that you want to do, be that shooting the heroin, purchasing the heroin, putting the heroin in a syringe, whatever you want to say? Clearly, I am restricting your bodily autonomy here, and that has been done throughout civilization, that remains on the books in the United States. So are you saying that drug laws are basically some sort of travesty?
No, of course not, because it's a matter of public health. Now,
he broke that down, man. He broke that down. Now, she's not going to accept it, though. She's not going to accept it. She already said it's a matter of public health. So she's not going to let him try to tie it into women in their bodies, because she's a feminist. So her job is to be a goalie for feminism. And I don't care how you try to paint it and how good you make it sound, or how intelligent it really is. It literally is. It's not happening. I'm not letting you do that. And she's really trying, but she's not acknowledging. She's not going to acknowledge a baby actually being a person at all until a woman realizes it at all. Like if you were to go and watch the entire conversation between the two of them, you will see that earlier on in the conversation, she has a serious issue with a man telling her when a baby is an actual person. And that becomes an issue too. She also calls people who have babies birthing persons. And she got challenged on that too. So a lot happened in this conversation, man.
Now, when we talk about pregnancy and abortion, essentially what causes pregnancy is sex, correct? And we cannot outlaw sex unless that's something that you are trying to bring forth. And so when it comes to, laws limiting someone's ability to have bodily autonomy, or, limit someone's ability to behave in a certain way, sex and pregnancy and abortion is a very unique circumstance. And sure, we can talk all day about some convoluted, drug analogy, but at the end of the day, well, I know that's your opinion, but we cannot outlaw sex. And sex happens for numerous reasons, and pregnancy can be accidental and unwanted. And so trying to compare it to illegalizing drug use, it's not completely analogous to illegalizing and banning abortion, because sex and drug use are two very different things, and they happen for two very different reasons.
Right, I suppose I'm just discussing the principle that you described earlier, which is that I don't have the right to an opinion that affects what you do with your own body. But even leaving that aside, you say that we can't make sex illegal. I don't think anybody wants to make sex illegal, but historically all sorts of sex has been illegal, and all sorts of sex remains illegal today. There are certain sexual behaviors, even in our more decadent and inclusive age, that are illegal. Obviously, sex with children or sex with animals, things like that.
And that's why a lot of people want to get rid of Pornhub and all these other places that, all these other websites that show this activity, sexual activity, because there's a lot of crime in those industries, as far as people being kidnapped and forced to perform in these videos. A lot of murder is happening. It's crazy. So a lot of that is being a lot of emphasis has been placed on that lately, because people are trying to be more and more serious on how to protect human lives. But the lady, no matter that how much that's happening, she support a woman being able to do that legally if she want, because it's her body. And that emotional part of her is sometimes make her seem not as educated as she really is, which she actually is extremely educated. But the emotional part kind of ruins that for her, because it contradicts her studies. It contradicts some things that she stands for.
Historically, sex outside of marriage has been illegal in many places. Homosexual sexual activities have been illegal in many places. So we've had laws in the United States, and continue to have laws that regulate sex. All of that, though, I wonder, so historically, those are the facts, and doesn't that seem to be a little bit beside the point when it comes to abortion? Because now we're saying, no, of consenting adults above the age of 18, they can have all the sex they want. But if you do have sex and you do get pregnant, well, you don't have the right to kill the baby.
Yep. All right, so that was that conversation right there. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Tell me what side you land on. I already know a lot of y'all land on something. And because of the people in my Twitch stream, I'm going to have to blur out the words in the screen, because y'all just saying words that's not supposed to be on the screen. And now I got a daggone fuss at them like I'm the school teacher and they the goddamn students, acting like I'm not putting on the production here, and they putting words like prick inside the video. My gracious. And jerk. My goodness, what the world? Y'all older than 21, right? Daggone knuckleheads. Y'all know I'm in the middle of a production and y'all just calling people assholes and jerks and pricks and all this other stuff. Y'all do know that this is on the video. Y'all like, we don't care. We want to talk shit. I love y'all, man. I'll see y'all in the next video.